be. I started reading chapter 5. I'm a little scared.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting real, isn't it?
Oh man, real quick.
Yeah, so chapter 5, this is what we're up against. We have 6 pages in our workbook to do, and I think we have something like 15 pages of the chapter to read. Yeah. This morning in the 8 o'clock class, we made it through 4 chapters, or 4 pages. 4 pages, so it's a little more involved for sure, but we're going to make it. This chapter's not as bad as it's going to get. Let's put it that way. Is that comforting? All right. So the good news is we made it to part 2. And I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to start reading. So chapter 5 is on principles of voice leading. And they give us this big old introduction. The compositional process, being a creative one, is not entirely understood. It is reasonable to assume that a composer thinks of several aspects more or less simultaneously: melody, harmony, rhythm, and so on. Naturally, a complete analysis of a composition must take all these factors into account. For the most part, however, this text concentrates on questions relating to the harmonic aspect of tonal music, because it is this aspect that most clearly delineates tonal music from other types. We could say that basic vocabulary of tonal harmony consists of triads and seventh chords, and that its grammar involves the ways in which these chords are selected and connected. In this chapter and the next, we will concentrate on some of the basics of the voice leading aspect. How does a composer write out a given succession of chords for some combination of performers? How does he or she decide in which direction each vocal or instrumental line should go? Voice leading may be defined as the ways in which chords are produced by the motions of individual music lines. A closely related term is counterpoint, which refers to the combination of relatively independent musical lines. Naturally, the style of voice leading will depend on the composer, the musical effect desired, and the performing medium. For example, it is easier to play a large melodic interval on the piano than it is to sing it. However, there are certain voice leading norms that most tonal composers follow most of the time, and our study will concentrate on these norms. So they are calling these things norms. When I took this class, they were called rules. Now they've lessened their stance a little bit. Now it's called norms, because we break them so often, as we are about to see in this very chapter. So they're going to give us these procedural norms, and we're going to do our best to follow them. Questions so far? Okay, so we're going to start here by talking about the melodic line, and they're going to give us 5 things to look for when we are analyzing and critiquing melodic lines, and when we ourselves are composing melodic lines. So these are the procedures that should be followed. Number 1, rhythm. They want us to keep a simple rhythm, most durations being equal to or longer than the duration of the beat. So that means if we're in 3/4 or 4/4, they want us to mainly have quarter notes and not a bunch of eighth notes. Quarter notes are longer. And the final note should occur on a strong beat, meaning beat 1, I think. Okay? Nothing too tricky about rhythm. 2, harmony. Every melody note should belong to the chord that is to harmonize it. So every note in our melody has to show up in our Roman numeral chord that's associated with it. Does that make sense? So don't get crazy on us. Just stick to what's in our Roman numerals and we'll be all right. All right, contour. The melody should be primarily conjunct or stepwise. The shape of the melody should be interesting but clear and simple with a single focal point or the highest note of the melody. So, in this example, 5-1, we have one focal point, one highest point, and they call it good. Here we have an uninteresting contour because it steps up and it steps down and it is boring, and they call it uninteresting. And here we have two of the same notes being our highest note, which is a no-no, 2 focal points. We only want 1 focal point. Do focal points make sense? Questions on contour? Seeing none, hearing none, but don't be afraid to ask away if you have questions. We all right? So that is contour. Oh, they also said that this note right here does not belong in our chord. In C major, a 5 chord should be spelled how?
G, B, and D?
G, B, and D. You got it. Good job. Questions, comments, concerns with that? We have an E, so this note does not belong in our 5 chord. Now, I made you something in the student manual, which I lovingly and affectionately refer to as the charty chart. And in your student manual, on the very last page, is our charty chart. So with this, you can write in your Roman numerals and you can get all the chord tones that you should have for a particular key. So if I'm in D major, D is my 1, E is going to be my 2, F is going to be my 3, G is going to be my 4, A is going to be my 5, B is going to be my 6, C sharp is going to be my 7, with the degree symbol because it's diminished, back to D being my 1. So I like to write in the Roman numerals in the blanks so that I know, okay, I have a 5 chord, I should have some kind of an A, a C sharp, or an E in the key of D. Does that make sense? The little chart I made for you? It's a nice little reference, I think, to help you. And we're going to get back to this as we go today. So I'll show you how to use that even more. All right. We good with contour? All right, on to leaps. Now this is where it gets hairy in my opinion. In leaps, under 4.A, it tells us a bunch of stuff. It says, avoid augmented intervals, avoid sevenths, and avoid intervals larger than an octave. To me, that was 3 separate things, but they're putting it in one letter. And they are telling us that we can use diminished intervals if melody changes direction by step immediately after the interval. So now that's up to 4 things that we got to remember in one letter. Avoid augmented. Avoid larger than an octave. Avoid sevenths. We can use diminished intervals, but we have to change the direction by step immediately after that diminished interval. Does that make sense?
So if the melody's going down and the final note is diminished, then immediately the step would go up.
Yes.
Is that what it means? Okay.
Yep. And if this is a little confusing to you right now, hang tight. We're going to go over this in some examples. Okay. So that was 4A for leaps. Now we're going to go to 4B. A melodic interval larger than a perfect fourth is usually best approached and left in the direction opposite to the leap. So we should step one way, leap, and then leap the opposite way, and then step the opposite way. I'm going to rephrase that because I don't like the way I said that. We're going to approach from one way. We're going to leap the opposite way, and we're going to leave the leap opposite from the leap. So this and this will match and be opposite of the direction of the leap. Or we could do it the other way. We could approach, down, leap, up, leave, down. And I'll try to show you that on some scores here. Apologies, I'm having roof work done. And so that is why there is noisy pounding. It is not my roommates. You ready to learn about part writing?
She said no.
She's like, I'm out.
How cute.
This is the hard part. All right. When smaller leaps are used consecutively in the same direction, they should outline a triad. So they should all be of the same triadic notes. These are a lot of norms that we got to keep track of. Okay, tendency tones. Tendency tones. In tonal music, scale degree 7 has a strong tendency to move up to 1. It's dying to move up to 1. An exception to this is when we have seven to 6 to 5. 1 to 7 to 6 to 5. That's straight from your ear training. So if we have the progression of chord scale degree 1 to 7 to 6 to 5, it's fine. But other than that, scale degree 7 wants to go to scale degree 1. If we don't do that, it's called frustrating the leading tone. Boo, we frustrated our leading tone. Dying to get there. Right? That's why when we were in ear training, the major 7th, it's got the tendency to go up to do, and if it doesn't, people want their money back. You with me? Okay, scale degree 4 wants to fall to scale degree 3. Fa wants to go to mi. But you can get away with not doing that much more frequently. What does it say? The other tendency tone that needs to be considered is scale degree 4, which often moves down to 4, but not with the regularity which 7 goes to 1. Versus... Boo! Can you hear it? Ah, no, it wants to fall down to me. You with me? All right, so those are tendency tones. So
What?
we're... Go ahead.
Oh, no, never mind.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'll ask later.
All right. So we're going to look at 3 little ditties that they wrote in our book, and we're going to say yes, no, what's good, what's not, what did we break, what rules did we break. Okay, so example 5-2, letter A, they're telling us is a good example. So let's look at why is this a good example. So let's just go down our list. Number 1 is rhythm. Simple rhythm, right? Nothing faster than a quarter note. We're dealing primarily with quarter notes, which is our beat value here, right? So good on rhythm. Harmony. I can tell you that all of these notes belong to their chord. And this is what it sounds like. We're in A minor. And this is what it sounds like with some of those chords underneath it. Nice job. Way to go, book. How many what about the contour? Where's our focal point?
Be the C, right?
The C is our focal point, and we only have one C. We pretty much have stepwise motion. We do have a couple leaps, but they followed the leap rules, right? We do have a leap larger than a fourth right here. But the norm says when we have a leap larger than a fourth, it is best approached in one direction and left in that same direction opposite of the direction of the leap. So we've got our zigzag zig and we're okay. Or our zag zig zag, however you want to look at it. So we followed the zigzag rule for our leaps. Does that make sense? And then our tendency tones. Scale degree 7 went to scale degree 1. And that happened twice. Scale degree 7 went to scale degree 1. Do we have scale degree 4? We never get a D, so scale degree 4 is not in there. So we followed our tendency tone rules. Does that make sense?
I'm still a little fuzzy on the fourth, and the direction changes there.
Okay.
Can you go over that again?
Absolutely. Let me just clear what I've got going on. So right here, we have a leap. And right here we have a leap. We could look at either of them. Let me look at this one. We have a leap of a fifth. Perfect fifth from the B down to the E. Do you see that? So we went down, which means we need to go up before the leap and up after the leap, which we do. We go up. We have our leap larger than a fourth, and then we go up again. So we went up, down, up. We zigzagged, so we're good. Okay, I could also do it for this leap. This leap is larger than a fourth, and we go up. So we need to have direction going down before the leap and direction going down after the leap, which we have. We go down, we leap up, we go down. So we zigzag and we're okay. As long as we zigzag, we're all right. Does that help, Pete, or are there still questions?
No, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right, good. Other questions? Vianda, you ready to ask that question yet? Not yet. All right, you let me know.
I'm waiting for us to get to B because there's something I'm confused about.
All right, B's got problems. B is a bad example. B breaks all kinds of rules.
Okay.
So
I was gonna ask, like, how is B good if
it's not.
Okay.
Not. And you can hear it. I'm going to play the melody for you, and you're like, what kindergartner wrote that melody? So we're still in A minor. Here's what it sounds like. Boo. We break all kinds of rules in B. So find some broken rules. What did we break? What did we do wrong? Well, let's think of, go ahead.
I think first of all we ended on the on me or may.
Is that bad?
On the, I don't know. Seems like it.
But it's a tonal note, right? It belongs. It's a chordal note. It belongs to our one. So it's not. It didn't break any of our rules.
Oh, okay.
Because this is a chord tone. The chord would be A, C, and E. So that it belongs to the chord. But yeah, you're right, John. What you are recognizing and what we'll talk about more in this semester, we're going to talk about cadences. And our ear loves the finality of a perfect, authentic cadence where we end on do in the soprano. We love that. It gives us such a sense of completeness and finality, and we don't get that here, but what we get isn't wrong. It's just not what we prefer. Is that fair? We love. It's over. Good night, everybody. Drive home safely. We love that, but we're not getting that. It's still over, but we're not as fulfilled and completed like we would be if we get that T, do. And that's what they're talking about when they're talking about their tendency tones. We want that T to go do because it tells us, good night, everybody. Lights are on.
The ear training exercises have been doing that a little bit, right? Where they modulate from the 1 up to the, and they kind of end in the 5.
It could be, yeah, very well could be, but more importantly, this goes back to our major 7th that we've been drilling so hard in ear training. That major 7th is dying to resolve up because it's the tendency tone of the leading tone, 7, scale degree 7, to go up to scale degree 1. Yeah. And these connections are going to start happening for you more and more as the semester goes on. Oh, that's why we did that in ear training. Oh, that's why we did that in theory. Hopefully. All right. So let's talk about rhythm. Rhythm's fine, right? It's the exact same rhythm as the good example above it. So we can't dog them for rhythm. Harmony. Do all of those notes belong to all those chords? I could tell you.
I was going to say the 2 focal points.
Good. Very good.
Yes, I was gonna say that, but I thought I was wrong, so I was like, I'd rather not say it.
Fail with glory, Vianda. Fail with glory. It's okay to be wrong in my class. Yeah? So good. Good job, Sophia Ruby. We have the same focal point twice. We need one single focal point. So that was 3. Rule 3. You're absolutely right. This should say Rule 3 was broken. Or norm, I should say. Procedural norm, not rules. Yeah. All right. Good. What other problems do we have? I see 4 other problems. So this is like the fun part of theory. I say fun in air quotes. It's like a word search. And we got to find those darn words that are hidden somewhere. We got to find the problems that are hidden in here. So I'll tell you that we have a tendency tone problem. What is our tendency tone? In A minor, scale degree 4 is D, which is right here, but it falls, scale degree 4 falls right to 3 like it's supposed to. So that's not the problem. The other tendency tone is scale degree 7, which is a G sharp. Here, scale degree 7 goes right like it's supposed to scale degree 1. So that's not the problem. Hey, buddy. But scale degree 7 here does not go to scale degree 1. It goes to scale degree 5, which is no good. So we frustrate our leading tone. Does everybody see that? So we've broken procedural norm number 5. All right, 3 more problems. We've got a bunch of leap problems. So here is a problem. What kind of an interval is that? A C to a G sharp.
Like an augmented fifth.
An augmented fifth, you got it. And we are trying to avoid augmented intervals. So we violated procedural norm 4A because we have an augmented interval. To further compound the problem, when we have leaps larger than a perfect fourth, remember we've got a zigzag zig, and we don't. We go all the same direction, which is no good. We have a skip up bigger than a fourth, which means we should go down into that skip and down after that skip. And that's not what happens. We get a straight beeline out of there. So that's violation of procedural norm 4B. You with me?
Yeah. And like it goes all the way down after too, doesn't it?
Well, here's our skip right here. So before we should go down, but we don't. We go up. And afterwards we should go down, but we don't. We go up. So we didn't follow any of the rules that we were supposed to.
Right.
And then, over in measure 1, when we have small leaps consecutively in the same direction, like we do, they should outline a triad, but our notes are A, E, and B. And I can't make any triad with those 3 notes. Those are not triad notes. So we broke procedural norm 4C, which says they've got to be triad notes. You with me? Sophia Ruby, I don't hear you. You're okay. You will be okay. Are you getting it? You're going to hang in there and get it. You're going to watch the replay later on YouTube. Is that what you're going to do?
So,
Go ahead.
maybe my question sounds dumb, but
Please.
so you need to zigzag up from each note. You go up, down.
When you have a leap bigger than a perfect fourth, like we do here, we have a leap of a fifth. When you have a leap bigger than a fourth, you have to approach it by the opposite direction, and you have to leave it by the opposite direction, which would be a zig, zag, zig. But we don't get that. That's what should happen.
Okay,
But
I got it.
what didn't happen is we didn't approach it by a different direction than the leap, and we didn't leave it from a direction different than the leap. We had 3 consecutive up notes, and we can't have that if we have a leap bigger than a fourth. It's got to go opposite, 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 and we don't get that. You with me?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question real quick, Dr. B.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm just so in the good example, measure 3 has similar step motion, and it doesn't need to be grouped as a chord. But in the bad example, measure 3 also has similar step motion, and that has to be grouped as a chord. I don't really understand what's the difference.
Okay. So the norm says that if you have multiple leaps consecutively in the same direction, they should outline a triad. So if we look at measure 1 here, in the bad example, we leap and we leap, but they don't outline a triad. Over here, we're okay because we have stepwise motion. And over here, we're okay because we only have one skip followed by a step. So we didn't break that norm because we don't have consecutive leaps in the same direction. We only have one leap and no leaps here. It's all stepwise. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did, because I was really confused because most of them are in the same step motion. I was just super confused on that.
Yeah. Good. Other questions?
Cool.
Other friends with questions. It's not your question, but your friend had a question you're going to ask for them to help them out. What was that? We're okay? We're moving on? All right, here we go. So they give us a little melody here. They say the melodic style that we have outlined in the previous pages is admittedly a very restricted one, but it is a good place to start. Melodies such as these can be found in hymn tunes, for instance, as in the next two examples. In example 5-3, we show part of one such melody along with Handel's harmonization. So we are in the key of
E flat.
B flat. Here's our melody. I'm going to harmonize it playing the chords. So let's grade Handel here. Let's critique his melody. Rhythm, no problems. Nothing faster than a quarter note. Harmony, no problems. All those tones belong in those chords. Contour, how do you do on contour?
Good. There's the focal point is the E.
E flat, one E flat, one focal point. Good job. Way to go, Handel. Attaboy. Leaps. Looks like we have one leap. But we can have one leap and not have to worry about anything. We don't have any leap bigger than a fourth. Let me rephrase that. We can have one leap that's smaller than a fourth and not have to worry about anything. He doesn't have any leaps bigger than a fourth, so we don't have to worry about the whole zigzag zig thing. He followed his leap rules. Good job, Handel. And tendency tones. I don't see any scale degree sevenths, which would be an A natural. Scale degree 4 is going to be an E flat, which we have, and it falls right where it's supposed to scale degree 3. Twice. He follows his tendency rules. Attaboy George. George Frederick pulling it off, following all 5 of our rules. Cool?
Norms.
Norms. Well, keep me honest. Norms. Procedural norms. All right. We're going to go check and see how Johann Kruger does over here. Harmonized by K.H. Grahn. That's a fancy way of saying that he covered it for all my commercial music students out there. All right. We are in A minor. All right, John. This one's for you. You're not going to like it. He doesn't take us where we want to go.
Yeah, that frustrated leading tone.
Do we have one?
Yeah, the G sharp down there.
We do have that. I'm so excited that you saw that. That's not what I was talking about, but I'm so happy you found it. So, yes, he messes up 7 going to 5. What the heck? Good. What else? He does follow our 1 focal point rule, but he doesn't take us home to do. He's going to leave us hanging out to dry on a half cadence. What? And we can't end there and die happy. We want to go back to and end on 1, but he doesn't give us that. And some people, that drives absolutely nuts. Bonkers. They say, resolve it! Resolve it!
You know what that feels like? It feels like when you solve a jigsaw puzzle, but you're missing that last piece.
One piece. Right in the middle. It's those OCD memes that are so fun to look at. You got a perfectly round cake, somebody lops off the side of it. The manhole covers with the 2 yellow lines that's the picture frames. Yeah. So, there you go.
There's a leap of a fourth that doesn't resolve to the third.
Okay, but it's anything that's larger than a fourth, so we're all
Oh,
right.
larger than a fourth. Okay.
Yep. He follows all of our other rules except for the tendency tone that we totally nailed him about. Why would our book use such a bad example? Probably to show you that these are norms and not rules. Right? All right. But everything else we're good with, yeah? We follow all the other rules?
So it's only if it's larger than a fourth. If it's like if the interval is a fourth, it doesn't have to do the zigzag thing?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. All right, here we go. I got a little Bach for you this morning, a French suite.
It's an augmented fourth.
What's an augmented fourth? An augmented fourth is...
What if it's an augmented fourth?
Oh, then we're in trouble because we're trying to avoid augmented intervals as per norm 4A.
Okay, so it just has to be a perfect fourth then?
Well, it could be bigger than a perfect fourth, but if it's bigger than a perfect fourth, the leap has to follow the zigzag-zig rule. If it's smaller than a fourth, it's okay if there's only one of them. If there's consecutive leaps smaller than a fourth, it needs to outline triad notes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. We're going to listen to a little Bach Gigue from French Suite number 3 in B minor.
Example 5-5.
All right. So what was the point of that? So even fancy stuff, I think is what they're trying to say, can be broken down to a simple melody that has no rhythm that's faster than our time signature. We've got harmony where everything belongs. If we break it down, everything belongs to those chords. We have one focal point. And we don't have any leaps larger than a fourth. We don't have any augmented intervals. And we don't have consecutive leaps in the same direction. So he's followed all the rules. Truth be told, I think the rules were written after Bach and his style of writing myself, but that's just my thought.
Dr. B, I have a question.
Sure.
So there's 3 different occurrences of the focal note. Does it only apply when it's like a sustained note?
So are we looking at A or are we looking at B?
A.
A, I only see one focal point, this
Okay.
F sharp right here.
Then I think I'm just a bit confused. I didn't see the B because I see the other notes in B. So I think I just got a little confused.
Say that one more time for me.
I think I just got confused because I saw the 3 different occurrences of the focal note.
Here, here, and here.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I think I just got confused.
So I think, to me, this example is worthless. I think they should have left it out. I think it's more confusing than they needed. But basically what they're saying is you can take something fancy like this Bach French Suite Gigue and break it down to simpler elements where they do follow the rules. But yeah, if we were to look at this, we'd say, yep, 3 focal points. That's no good. But if you break it down to how they did it, yeah, we're just going to leave that example. But you're right.
Cool.
All right, we're going to go to self-test 5-1. I really like the self-test. And one of the reasons I like the self-test is the answers are in the back of the book. So you can teach yourself. And you can learn from your mistakes. So do it wrong, and then see what the right answer was. Right? So we are going to critique 3 melodic lines here. Ready, set, go.
One has two G's,
2 focal points.
2 focal points.
Not good.
And a leap right there too. Crazy leap.
From which note to which note?
From D to A to G.
Okay, so the D to G's are right because it's a fourth. But the A to the D is a leap of a
Oh,
fifth.
okay. Yeah.
And so we
Yeah. Okay.
get the zig and the zag, but we don't get the zig afterwards.
So
You're right.
so from the D, it should have gone down. The melody should have, instead of continuing to climb, right?
Yes. Or we could have also had a leap here to a triad note. And then I think we would have been okay too. Because the way the book marked it as 2 leaps should outline a triad. And they don't. You could bust them for both of them. You could either hang them up because they didn't leap in a triad, or you could bust them up for not having a opposite direction because you have a leap larger than a fourth. It's kind of overlapping infringements there. Good. 2 more problems. And they're tricky ones to find. All right, so on my chart, we are in G major. So G is my 1, C is my 4, and D is my 5. I believe that those 3 chords are all we're dealing with over here. Let's double check. 1, 4s, and 5s. That's all I got. 1, 4s, and 5s. So my 1s should be G, B, D. My 4s should be C, E, G. And my 5s should be D, F sharps, A's. Any problems there?
So yeah, the 4 that has an A, and that doesn't belong in the key.
Good job, John. The 4 has an A, which is not a 4 note. Notes of chord 4 should be C, E, G, not A. Good. One more problem. It has to do with tendency tones. Scale degree 4 is a C. I don't see any C's in this whole example. Scale degree 7 is an F sharp, and that goes like it's supposed to scale degree 1, no problem. Scale degree 7 ends up going to scale degree 3. We have frustrated our leading tone. Does everybody see that? Let's do number 2. We are in the key of B flat major. Here's our melody. Here it is with the chords. You can just tell it's bad by the way it sounds, right? Boo! All right. So, there's 3 problems in this example. What are they?
There's 2 focal points.
Good. 2 focal points.
There's a leap of a seventh.
And that's no good, huh?
Right.
Anything? Right, we're trying to avoid sevenths, right? That's from one of the rules, 4, I think. So even though it followed the zigzag, we're trying to avoid sevenths. Good. What else are we trying to avoid? This one's tricky. There's an augmented interval. Can you find it? Can you hear it?
Yeah, it's the 2 notes at the beginning of the second measure.
Good. Nice job. Okay. We are now in number 3, and there are 4 problems with number 3. We are in D minor. Sorry, I messed
The
up.
leap of the 5th from
Okay.
the E to the A, it doesn't zigzag back up.
Yeah, we went in the same direction. So the large descending leap should be preceded and followed by ascending motion.
It's also on the D to the A at the end of the second measure. It does the same thing. It just continues up instead of going back down.
So we should follow large ascending leap with descending motion. We zigzagged, but we didn't zigzag zig. Good. Two more. It's really hard to see these if you don't have your charty chart handy, but we have a non-chord tone in there. So for the 1 chord, we should have a D, an F, or an A. Wow. D, F, or an A. For a 4 chord, what should we have?
F, A, and C.
No, that would be a 3 chord.
Oh,
Wouldn't it be B, D, F sharp?
No, that would be a 6 chord.
No.
it's a G chord. G, B flat. and a D.
And here we have an F. That's a problem, right? Do we have any augmented intervals? This one I think is a little cheap shot. I think there's a little ticky-tack because we're so used to harmonic minor. We have an augmented interval of an augmented second here, which we're used to hearing in harmonic minor. But that's the other issue. Does it make sense? So what we just did today in this self-test so far is we did everything that's going to be asked of us on the first page of our workbook on page 35 for part A. They give us 3 melodies remarkably similar to these for us to analyze and critique according to the 5 procedural norms. Cool? Can I erase my screen? All right. If you didn't get it, you'll have to watch the playback. Okay. Next question on the self-test. They want us to compose melodies, simple melodies, that will conform to the given progressions. Slashes represent bar lines in every chord except the last takes 1 beat. So, I'm going to go over to my music manuscript paper here.
Slashes represent, what was that again?
Bar lines.
Bar lines.
They're just lazy. They didn't want to print the music manuscript paper. So they tried to give us some kind of weird shorthand. So we're going to do this. We are in the key of 2 sharps, and we are in the time signature of 3/4. And they gave us the Roman numerals of 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, dash, and then they gave us 6, 2, 5, 1. So they want us to come up with a little ditty of a melody based on those chords. Okay, so what I would do is I would get my chart out. And say, all right, we're in D major. D is my 1. A is my 5. E is my 2. G is my 4. And B is my 6. So those are the chords I'm dealing with. So when I put my 1 chord, I have to have a D, an F sharp, or an A. When I put my 5 chord note in, I gotta have an A, a C sharp, or an E. You with me? When I have a 6 chord, I need a B, a D, and an F sharp. When I have a 2 chord, I need an E, G, B. So we're going to leave this for a second. We'll come back to it. But we've got it there for us. All set up. So back we are. We're going to start this little melody on which note? Which note you want to start on?
It would probably be best to start on D.
All right. You want high D or low D?
High D.
Ethan has spoken. We're starting on high D. Okay. Now we got to go somewhere to an A, a C sharp, or an E based on my charty chart. You with me?
Go to E then.
You want to go to E? You want to go up to E?
Yeah, let's go up to E. Let's keep.
All right, D, E. Now where you want to go? We need a D, an F sharp, or an A. Those are your choices.
Why not F sharp?
D, E, F sharp, you got it. All right, now we're to a 4 chord, and according to my charty chart, I need to have a G, a B, or a D. G, B, or D is what we're looking for.
Let's do the zigzag thing. Let's drop it to a B.
Okay, if we drop it to a B, what are my issues?
I have to zigzag back up for the next note, right?
Yeah. And your options are D, F sharp, or A. So you want to go up to a D? Is that what you want to do?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, now what?
What's the dash?
Same chord, so we
Oh.
need another D, F sharp, or A.
Did you say we could go up to F sharp?
We can go up to F sharp. What is the
And
danger
that way-
of that?
That's our focal point.
That's our focal point so far.
Oh, yeah.
So we either have to go higher
Mm-hmm.
or not go to that F sharp. We could stay the same. You want to stay on the D? If we don't stay the same, we got to drop to the A or go crazy high to the A, giving us a new focal point. I'm going to vote stay on the same. Is that all right? All right, next we have a 6. And according to my charty chart, I need to have a B, a D, or an F sharp.
I say go down to B, just so we don't have to go up to the focal point or
Yeah,
stay on the
B.
same note
I would say
again.
B too.
All right, B
Mhm.
it is. Now I'm to the 2 chord. According to my charty chart, I need an E, a G, or a B.
We could drop down to the
G.
G.
Okay, so our rule says with consecutive leaps in the same direction, we have to outline triad notes. Do we? We've got a D.
Yes, we
D,
do.
G. We do, so we're all right.
All right.
All right, we're to the 5 chord, and according to our charty chart, we need an A, a C sharp, or an E.
E. Oh, wait, we could do an A.
You want to
We
go
could do
to A?
an A.
I like the A. Now, what are we going to do? We're to our one chord. We need a D, an F sharp, or an A.
D.
I say end on D.
Which
Okay,
D?
just
You want to leap down a fifth or leap up a fourth?
Up a fourth.
Up a fourth to where
Yeah.
we started?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
We could use a. Hey, we could put a where the second to last note. We could use a C and have a seventh in there instead
Well,
of the A.
We
Can we do
can't
that?
change. We can't change the bass line they've given us. If they gave us a 5/7,
Oh,
we
okay.
could. But they didn't give us a 7 there, so we can't. Wait, is that what you're saying?
Well, let's see. The fifth is
Well, we can have a C sharp, but we can't have a G.
yeah, no, C sharp because we have A, C sharp, E, right, available to us.
Okay, yeah, A, C sharp, and E. What does that do though?
Oh, it gives us a fourth. Is that?
What kind of a fourth does it give us?
Oh, it's augmented, huh?
It's augmented. Good. But there are a lot of answers, right? There are a whole variety of answers. Yours is completely different than what the 8 o'clock class did. Yours is completely different than what the book did. So here's the example that the book came up with.
So you're saying we're better than the 8 o'clock class?
I'm not. I'm not saying that at all. You're saying that.
You know, it's true. It's true.
It's funny because I teach these classes and then it comes time to put a video up and I'm like, which class do I put up? Which class did I teach better in? See, usually what happens is I teach the 8 o'clock class not having a clue what I'm doing. And then by the time you guys get it, it's so much more refined. I'm a better teacher. Things make much more sense. All right.
Submit it.
This is what the book did. You definitely get a better teacher. I tell you that. I'll try something in the 8 o'clock class. It'll fall flat on its face. And I'll say, yeah, well, I'm not going to try that with 9:30 class because that did not work well. So here's the book's answer. Sorry, I butchered that. One more time. So there's
I think the other one was better.
I wasn't crazy about your guys' leap to the B. Let's see if I can go back there. I didn't like this leap here. What could we have done different?
Gone up to the G, maybe.
We could have. We could have also gone back to the D. If we would have gone back to the D here, we would probably want to switch it up to like the A there. How does that sound? So, I mean, there's so many possibilities, right? We're just trying to stick to those norms that they talked about. How are we doing on time? Are we out of time? Pretty much. Not time to do a second one.
Like 1 minute left.
All right. So this is the second part of page 35 and page 36 from your workbook. It's to write 3 melodies based on chords that they give you. So I would encourage you to use your charty chart, and you can write in your Roman numerals. I think I told you this. I don't know where it is now, but my charty chart got laminated. I laminated my charty chart so that I could write on it with dry erase marker and reuse it. And that's something you could pull off at the, the Office Depot, or I know there's a teacher center in Clovis that people can go in and laminate stuff.
Or you can do what I do, which is just use clear tape on top of it.
You could go get some contact paper as well and do it that way. Yeah. Or honestly, the easiest thing to do in the world is to get one of those page protectors. Get a page protector. Boom. You can get that at the 99-cent store probably. Yeah. Also, there's a place on Blackstone, the teacher center or the teacher store. What's it called? It's right next to Allard's and Guitar Center.
Oh, it's like GWB or something like that.
GW, Teachers Resource Center. You can get these sleeves that you drop stuff down in and draw all over. I've got like a handful of them, and of course I can't find them. But that's another option for you, yeah? So that might help. That's what I would do to get that ready, because we're going to do a lot of part writing and want to know what are the tones that I can use for that chord.
Is this chapter due by Sunday?
No.
Oh,
we're gonna take our sweet time.
Good.
Yeah. I wasn't planning on starting. I wasn't, when I originally laid out the semester. I was thinking we would start this on a Monday, and we're starting it kind of a day early on a Wednesday. I didn't really account for the midterm exam when I was laying things out. So yeah, totally gonna float it. Not due Wednesday. Just if I were you, I would try to get page 35 and 36 done this weekend, so you can keep trucking as we go along. Okay, did I get everybody here on the roll? Did somebody come in late that I didn't get?
Yeah, I came in a little late. Sorry.
Okay, I'll mark you here.
I think I did too.
Okay.
For John.
I think I got you. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow at ear training.
All right. Thanks, Doc.
All righty.
Later, Dr. B.
See ya.